Are you planning a trip to Norway? Here are some of my favorite travel tips to help you save money, avoid some unexpected curveballs, and really truly make the most of your visit. Plus, a few surprises that we definitely weren't even expecting. So, if we haven't met before, I'm Sonya. I just recently returned from my third trip to Norway. Now, this time we got to spend 2 incredible weeks exploring Norway. During the first week, we drove throughout southern Norway, just taking in endless natural beauty, breathtaking waterfalls, little villages, and we even got to find our ancestral family farm and meet our relatives. And then my sister and I flew back to Bergen. And after that, spent the next week in one of my favorite places in Norway with several members of my Norwex team. Whether you are planning your very first trip to Norway, or maybe you've been there before and you just want to think about what you want to do this time, I hope these tips help you make your adventure even better. One of the first decisions you'll want to make is whether to rent a car or take the train. We did rent a car the first week, which gave us absolute flexibility to pull off at the little scenic overlooks and stop at the villages. It was great. But if you are more like just, I want to relax, I want to take in scenery, I will say that the train ride from Oslo to Bergen is a beautiful way to see a lot of the country while just enjoying a nice, comfortable train ride. Let's jump in. We went to the little village of Ulvik, and this place is so incredibly special. I love it. So this is where our Norwex CEO, Bjarne Yetnes, and her husband, Martin, have a farmhouse on the fjord. And it is a little Norwegian village. It is the cutest, sweetest little, you feel like you've just stepped back in time in the coolest of ways. So we went to Ulvik as part of a team incentive that my team members had the opportunity to earn time here in Ulvik at the farmhouse. First of all, it was one of the most amazing rest times. It's just so good for your soul. You wake up and you look out the window on the Norwegian fjord, these beautiful mountains. Pretty much every single day we hiked a mountain, and then being able to jump in the fjord. And thankfully, this was my third time to Beata and Martin's home. And this time was definitely the warmest. It was actually super cool and refreshing, but not take your breath away cold. There's a sauna right beside where you jump in. We got to go to the apple orchard and really see the specific apples that grow in this village, even so much as they grow on one side where the sun hits more than the other side, and then they make apple cider. Another thing you'll find a lot of in Norway is farm to table, especially in this particular village, because the wheat is ground right there locally, the heritage wheat, and the bread is made there locally. And so you just walk to the bakery, which is just open a few days a week, and you get your fresh bread. Okay, that was so incredibly good. About a decade ago, roughly, I finally gave in and eliminated gluten from my diet. I had fought it tooth and nail because, to be honest, I love bread. I love pizza. Oh, so good. Many people in my family have celiac or a gluten sensitivity. And so I kind of knew that maybe my body didn't love it. When we go to Europe, though, I frequently hear people who can't tolerate gluten in the US can tolerate it in Europe. So the first time I went, I stayed gluten-free the entire time. The second time I went, I did not. I really do like bread, and to have fresh made bread that's, the fresh ground wheat, all the things. So when we were in Bergen, one of my top things I wanted to go back to was one of their bakeries there. I've since discovered another one of their bakeries that is amazing. Baker Brun was the one down on Bryggen where we went. We enjoyed apple cake. We're surrounded by delicious bread and pastries. So I did really, really quite well. By the end, I did have a little bit more inflammation in my body. So I wouldn't say that it's probably a real good solution for me long-term, but I believe they have a lot more regulation on their grains. And so there's a lot less negative stuff in it. Also, they do a lot of dried meats, which goes back in their heritage, of course, for preserving. So like I love the lamb, kind of that thinly sliced meat. There's also a lot more fish there. So the things for breakfast included caviar in a tube, which is always so interesting to me. And they also love mayonnaise in a tube too. So it's kind of cool. Brown cheese. Okay. The first time I had brown cheese, I was like, this is so good. Now I'm told not everybody loves it at first, right? But I actually love trying new things from different cultures. The brown cheese is so good. Now, we grew up at our house with lefse, and that is, I've learned since, because the first time I went to Norway, I was on a one mission just looking for lefse. But what I found is many areas have lefse. There's different traditions based on where you are in Norway. So some of them have potatoes in their lefse recipes, and some have non-potato. Now, for those of you who are not Norwegian, this is one of my absolute highlights of growing up, is this thing called lefse. It's Lefse. Anyway, it's like a really thinly rolled out Norwegian tortilla that's made of butter, potatoes, flour, and a little bit of salt. It is so amazing. At Martin and Beata's, we also had lumpa, which I didn't know that was different than lefse. I thought it was just kind of a smaller lefse, but they called it lumpa. But very similar, and they roll their hot dogs in it, and then you roll them in this lumpa, which is a potato tortilla kind of thing. So you need to do lefse while you're there. That's so good. I love how pure their water is. That's one of the coolest things. So when you fly in the US, we're always looking for bottled water everywhere. But literally when you go to the hotel, when you go to Airbnbs, you drink it out of the tap. And sometimes it's quite cold, depending on, I'm sure, the water source. I like my water to taste good. And almost all our stops had really good tasting water and just straight out of the tap. So that's pretty awesome. When you go on walks in the mountains, you're going to see all these little waterfalls just coming off the mountain. It's just, water is everywhere. There's lots and lots of water in Norway, which I love. One of my favorite things is in the morning when you go hike, the water bodies just consistently seem to be so still in the morning, no ripples. And so it literally looked like you were looking at a painting that so many of us might have hanging on our walls of the mountain perfectly mirrored in the lake below. And we just saw that everywhere. We also did go to Voringsfossen, the tallest waterfall. That is beautiful. And one of my favorite things about that is you get to combine all the things. You get to be by water at the top. We were actually sitting in the top of the waterfall before it gets crazy and goes down the mountain. And so just being in that fresh, cool, running water was so cool. And then the views are spectacular. And there is a hotel at the top of that hike that just happens to sell Norwegian waffles. Okay, here's something you need to know about Norwegian waffles. So I grew up with a waffle maker, and our waffles were kind of floppy. Okay, they're not like crisp like Belgian waffles. In Norway, again, if I look back on all of our family traditions, I'm like, oh my goodness, and that's why they did that. But these waffles that are more floppy, they're in the heart shape. So you can buy heart shape waffle makers, Norwegian, and then you put sour cream with strawberry jam on top. Now, I think their batters is a little bit different, so you would want to look up the waffle batter for that. And we had lots of goodies at the top. Oh, and their ice cream at the top is also very yummy. So that was Voringsfossen, all our Airbnbs. And when we got to Beata and Martin's house, the beds have the fitted sheet, but no top sheet. They just have a duvet with a comforter inside of it, right? And each person gets one. So that's kind of a fun little cozy twist from what you typically see in America. Coffee. Norwegians love their coffee. And one of the things that Beata was sharing with us is that very often you'll invite someone to your house just for coffee. Here, I think sometimes we think we need to serve a meal or have snacks. But she's like, no, we actually just get together over coffee. I'm like, that's good enough. And I loved the simplicity of that you don't have to put on a whole thing, because then you're just less likely to get together. So it reminded me again of my upbringing because we would always have coffee in the house and then neighbors would swing by and they would come in and you'd pour them a cup of coffee. And I was like, man, how much have we complicated life? So that was great. One of the things I really did notice is coming back to America, we may tend to be a little excessive. I'm not totally opposed to slightly excessive, but in America, it's not uncommon to have multiple bathrooms per property, it seems. And that was something that we definitely noticed. We were almost always four per people or more to the bathroom. And yeah, it's just simplicity of life. Again, if I go back to my younger years, I grew up in a farmhouse with one bathroom. We had a ton of laughing. We spent time just together in the farmhouse and outdoors, and of course, some business brainstorming sessions. As always, when you put several Norwex consultants into a room, of course, we're going to be talking about business because we love it. Oh, I know another thing was boating on the fjord. So my first trip to Norway, we paid for a fjord little tour. The boat took us out and it was really fun. But being on their boat in the fjord that is right at the base of their farm, and just, I love boating anyway, super fun. So that was also a huge highlight. And then we went back to Bergen. We got some more amazing pastries, and then everyone headed out from there. If you have not yet visited Norway, it truly is beautiful. We did drive most of it, but the second week we did not drive. I've done the train from Oslo. I think it runs Oslo to Bergen, and I've done that a couple times. Great way to see a lot of country if you don't want to rent a car. However, if you're taking the train, buy your tickets early. First of all, they do sell out, which is why we ended up actually grabbing a flight for one of the times we were going to grab the train. And secondly, the prices vary based probably on demand. So if I bought earlier, I could have gotten more affordable tickets and it wouldn't have been sold out. We also learned that hotel rooms mostly are just for two people, and they're very strict about that rule. So wherever we went, whereas in America, maybe we would have just gotten a room with two queens, here it is two people per room, quite strict unless you pay the upgrade for the family room. So we did a lot of Airbnbs up until our week in Ulvik, which worked out really well, actually. So I would recommend it. We had great Airbnb experiences. Another thing to think about is if you're going to fly over there and then take little flights around the country, remember to check their airline policies for those, because a lot of times if you have two bags, you have to pay for that one that we typically carry on. And another thing is, generally speaking, less is more. And one of the things that I love about Norway is it's so casual. It's just so down to earth. I actually bought a lot of wool products for this trip. I kind of wanted to get wool just because I'm going toward wearing more natural fibers. This one is cotton. And so trying to do a little less synthetic on what goes on my body. And so I bought some wool stuff, and I also had brought some linen. My linen wrinkled awful, okay? But my wool was amazing, truly amazing. So if you've never looked into wool, I just have to tell you, first of all, Norwegians love wool. They raise a lot of sheep in Norway. We did see some cattle, which of course made my heart sing. And our family farm actually was a beef farm. So that was kind of fun to see. But lots of sheep and lots of wool. When you buy wool, merino wool is quite phenomenal. And often now it will be paired with some lyocell or some other product. So it's not 100% wool, but if it's over, I believe 55% wool is still supposed to maintain the wool properties of antibacterial, not getting stinky, the moisture benefits of it, things like that. So when you're traveling, you need way less pair. So I had some wool tank tops, I had some wool t-shirts and socks, and I even got wool underwear, which again, if you get the right kind, you'll be blown away. I would say less is more. Now, when we were there, when we first looked at the weather, it was supposed to be quite cool, and then it shifted. You want to layer. in Norway. So I like to definitely have some layers because when you're in the sun, it can feel super warm in the summer. But another thing you'll love about Norway is the midnight sun. This is so fun. So, of course, in the summertime, the sun does not go down until around midnight, maybe later. It stays light. So I highly recommend you bring a sleep mask. Here's what I would recommend about a sleep mask is sleep with it for a couple weeks before the trip. Okay. Because with your time zone shifts, sometimes it throws your sleep off. And I have learned now that I've done a lot more travel, I have learned that if I can give my body sleep cues, it can really adapt much more quickly to a new time zone. And so I sleep with the sleep mask all the time. I didn't used to, but our room has very high windows that we didn't put shades on, like blackout shades. And so our room lets in a little bit of light. And I really believe in sleeping in pretty much utter darkness, like on my eyes. So I wear a sleep mask all the time. So when I went to Norway, I transitioned very quickly to their time and I would just put that sleep mask on. I also believe in mouth tape. So I would do that. That's another sleep cue for me. And literally, I'm usually just out. My body knows that those things mean sleep. But bring a sleep mask, but wear it a while before. Otherwise, if you just wear it on the trip and you're not used to it, there is a little getting used to, but get a good one. Don't get one that pushes on your eyes. There's such a difference in sleep masks. So if you've tried when you're like, yeah, I don't like it, I'm just going to challenge you. And for travel, I also wear it on the plane. Passengers next to me be like, where did you get that? The neck cushion and the sleep mask. They're like, you are out. And the pair of that has helped ideally just fly business class and lay down flat. But if you're flying coach, it's really awesome to have a super good neck pillow. Now, everyone's different, but I found one that I absolutely love, and I wear my eye mask there too. One of my favorite things that we had at Martin and Beata's house is they made Norwegian porridge for us. Now, I've heard of Norwegian porridge, and it's really part of a lot of traditions like baptism, and like this is kind of a celebratory thing. And it was not part of my upbringing, which after tasting it, I was like, hello, why did we carry on lutefisk and lefse and forget the porridge? Because it was so yummy. I was really surprised. I think the one we had, and I think there's a few different ways to make it. I'm sure everyone has their family recipe, but I think it was sour cream based and maybe flour. I didn't get the actual recipe. Anyway, it was delicious. It was so good. We also had the beef stew. And Martin said this is very common after someone's been working in the fields all day to just do this really hearty, vegetable rich and beef stew. Again, when we were at our relative's house in Yuvdal, I think Yuvdal, it's different. I learned I was saying it wrong the whole trip. But when we were there, they served us moose stew. So that was kind of fun as well. When you go to grocery stores, if you want a plastic bag, you will always just pay extra. So it is a really good idea if you have a reusable bag to bring with you. So with the Airbnbs, we began going to the grocery store and doing a little bit more cooking when we were traveling through. The most unforgettable moment of the trip wasn't even the beautiful waterfalls, the fjords, even the amazing Norwegian food. It really was that moment of driving up to our ancestors' family farm, getting to meet cousins that I never imagined I was going to get to meet, and really getting to experience our family's heritage and history in Norway. So, if you would love to watch that process, click this video. I think you'll really enjoy this story.